Aloha, mother fathers. Welcome in another episode of the Side Hustle Podcast. Again, of course, of all the different streaming platforms, mainly, of course, YouTube and the video aspect of things, as well as all the audio stuff as well. Kyle Cornell, Anthony Alford with you as always. Double A, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I thought you were good, too. Then we stumbled across the TikTok that you run. So of all the things we do, you are responsible for the TikTok.
I want to preface this for 1 second because
I really don't think we should preface it.
Not with that.
We should just read the comment.
You can in a second. Just separate thing. So we have Jim behind the scenes today, running for us, doing everything as well. So thank you, boss. Appreciate that. Stepping up and helping out. Pete out for the day. So just want to give Jim a warning. The show is a little bit different than some other maybe podcasts you've seen or heard. We tend to sometimes go off a little bit on.
Are you saying that it's usually pretty calm in the studio? Is that what you're saying?
No.
It's usually
this is like a far different than the football and basketball broadcast.
Pretty relaxed, pretty professional. I do think it is professional, but pretty relaxed podcast.
Yeah, see some of the TikToks I post. It's probably not too professional.
Some of these comments here I see here.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was rough. So to kind of catch everyone up to speed, obviously, I run the TikTok channel. Double A kind of handles the rest because I'm off social media. This is kind of the reason why I'm not on social media as much, because the internet wrestling community sucks.
I can't even read this. I'm going to have you read this.
It is hard to read.
I can't even read. So if you go to our TikTok.
Side Hustle Pod 216, or Podcast 216, by the way. Cool new logo up and everything as well. So.
Yeah, it's great. You posted our clip from last week.
I believe it was the Bray Wyatt clip.
It was Bray Wyatt. Yeah. I'm watching this in silence. I see LA Knight. I see words. We're trying to use a new program that kind of helps with highlights. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we can do that and continue to use it. I'll let you read this. I can't read some of these words here.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is the thing. So we mentioned professional. Double A rarely swears or does anything wrong on the show. He leaves that up to me because he knows I've been bottling it up for like 7 years in news. So I just spew shit out left and right.
That's because my mom watches this. I still do not curse in front of my elders. I just don't.
Why would you not tell me that your mom watches this? I am sorry.
She doesn't care.
Miss Alfred, I am so sorry,
she's
my dear.
entertained.
I apologize in advance for today, for going back in time. If I had a time machine, Back to the Future, great movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. There's a couple of them. I apologize about that. If I would have known better. I'm also going to apologize for what I'm about to read. This was not my words.
She's entertained by anybody else. You, Jim, Pete.
Just not you.
Just not me. Just not me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because she has the power. Before you read that, she has the power to stop this show by herself. She has that power. If she showed up right now and Jim didn't let her in, she's burning through those doors. In this podcast, matter of fact, you might see the whooping on the show. She might tell you to keep on rolling, Jim. You might have to just keep on taping.
There's ways to go viral in this day and age. That could definitely be one of them. So.
We got to get those subscribers up. You go.
You can hear it in the background. We'll take it off camera. Leave it to people's imagination. That kind of thing. Okay, so
prime time. Go ahead.
This is Cody St. John on TikTok. One of the people that doesn't follow our podcast, but decided to comment because the video must have popped out on his, her, its For You page. I don't know what they are.
It does.
The picture is of a guy dressed up in a girl's wig with makeup on. In this day and age, obviously being politically correct is very important, and we take that obviously very seriously. But at the same point, fuck you, Cody. But nevertheless, this is what it said. So, laughing face emoji. I put down, this obviously was our thing last week about Bray Wyatt being voted the worst match of the year in 2023, fresh off of him dying of a heart attack at 36.
Yeah.
Which is kind of insensitive. And I get, we're all sensitive nowadays and people need to, grow the hell up. But that's, one of those things where it's really...
The dude died.
You could have picked a different match. Or, now, as I was so rightfully pointed out by a different person who commented, that was a little more... tame, kind of, not really. But
all right, we are stalling. Tell the people what this Cody guy said.
Nevertheless, I blame Dave Meltzer. I blame the Wrestling Observer for their awards for this. And this guy said, again, laughing face emoji. If it is bad, then it's bad. Get the fuck over it. Period. Lowercase p, pussy take, period. lowercase j, just because, and that's not spelled because, it's BC. BC, someone dies, doesn't change shitty stuff, so continue to cry about it. I didn't know The Rock, Sans Rock, was commenting on my post now. That's great. Of course, I actually respond. If you comment on any of our TikToks, I try to respond to all of our fans at least once. Just to try and get that connectivity, show everyone, hey, we're watching, we're paying attention. We appreciate you, even for this stupid-ass comment that was put down. Being engaged with us.
Thank you for tuning in and listening.
So I put down, for more, quotes, pussy takes, click the YouTube link to watch our full shows with a salute and a happy face.
So what was he upset about? What was the problem? We're gonna do therapy. What was he upset about? What was Cody upset about? Not Rhodes. Cody
St. John.
St. John
is the name on TikTok.
What is St. John upset about?
So I guess he's upset about just the match. He thinks the match was terrible. And again, if you're looking at just a pure wrestling match, it wasn't supposed to be that. We knew there was a bigger story involved in that match. And like I said before, I made the point. You said I put together the clip too with the edit of LA Knight in there and all that. It built up another star, and Bray Wyatt was supposed to be a launching pad to building that family again. You can't
Uncle Howdy.
You can't judge a single match like that for what it was, because it wasn't really a match to begin with. It was a sponsored match too. WWE made like $1.5-2 million on the match.
So why is he angry at us?
He said it's a pussy take. So I commented that.
Okay.
He followed up with, nah, I would definitely reward you with the worst channel of the year. The channel that has almost 10,000 views already, and we've only been doing this podcast for less than 2 months, but that's totally fine. It's totally okay. So then I commented underneath, because again, I'm a giving person. I gave this guy way more time than he deserved. I said, thanks for spending your time and energy on us. Feel free to click the YouTube link on the homepage so you can use even more and watch the show. Smiley face. He didn't respond after that. It didn't respond after that. So that was a fun interaction today. I posted that obviously a little bit earlier today. We're recording on Wednesday, which I believe is the 6th. Be out for you guys probably at some point tomorrow. But nevertheless, that was interesting. I got another AEW clip I'm posting tomorrow too, so I'm sure that's going to go over great. But nevertheless, it seems like every time I criticize Dave, Wrestling Observer, AEW, this is their rankings for worst, best match, whatever it was, that kind of thing. I usually get some sort of interaction from the people.
What I don't I guess it's just
mine's a pussy take, but you're the one commenting on the channel that's supposedly the worst in history, saying all this stuff instead of just moving on with your day. So thank you, he, she, it, Cody. Appreciate you, Cynthia, Cody, whatever your name is now. I don't know. Pick a gender and then move on.
His name is Cody. You call him a Cody crybaby?
No.
Is that what you're doing?
This is the actual definition of a physical person named Cody who is a crybaby. That's the best part.
You're calling him a Cody crybaby.
There was another guy who commented down to much more reasonable comment. DK posted on, what does this have to do with Dave? Subscribers voted the worst match of the year. It was a really bad match. Better take, because it was coming from a sense of truth. And he's right. So technically people voted. There was no options presented to them. But if you're Dave, you see the results when they come in. Have some hey, this was going to be the worst match, but in honor of Bray, we can't do that to him. This is actually going to be labeled the worst match of the year. People voted for it, but we're not going to.
Or you flat out don't acknowledge that was voted.
You just exclude it. If you see a lot of votes coming in, you just exclude it. Which, by the way, there was like 5,000 people that voted on the stupid fucking thing. Who cares? Yeah. But nevertheless, how many people watch Raw, SmackDown, even AEW per week compared to the number of people that voted on this bullshit? That's the reason why I don't like Dave for this either, is because he does control this at the end of the day.
He does. He does. But, I mean, and think about this. In a lot of, you think of actual professional sports or even entertainment, do you see at the Grammys worst artist of the year?
That's the funny part, too.
Do you see at the Grammys worst album of the year?
It's one thing if it's a podcast or something like that where you criticize somebody for a match or whatever it is because you do it weekly, that kind of thing. But to go out of your way to trash somebody,
worst record label of the year. Now we can have conversations about worst record label of the year.
That's for XM Radio. That's for the Breakfast Club. That's for that kind of shit. Not to be put out there for an award. What does he get for that? What are you gonna put on his fucking gravesite? A trophy? That's bullshit.
The worst canceled show of 2024.
It doesn't make any. It's an award show. We're awarding terribleness at that point. Then too, if it truly is as bad as everyone thinks it is, then don't even talk about it. You won't even want to mention that thing.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. It's really a terrible idea. I understand from a newsletter standpoint, you want to drive in fan engagement, but these are the things that piss off wrestlers and promotions. And we're talking about across the board. They're out there working their behinds off, presenting a story so that we could talk about it, and all of us as fans can talk about it and watch the product and buy tickets and go to the arenas for the shows. How is this building up professional wrestling?
How do you think LA Knight feels? Like, he was the last person to be in the ring with Bray. And, again, he probably would tell you the match could have been better, of course. But he also, again, he understood, too, the bigger underlying thing with it. It'd be one thing if it was just a match and it was over.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay, well, then, yeah, it wasn't a great match. We get that. Fine, whatever. And like I told you before, Slim Jim Battle Royal, all these sponsored matches, all this stuff that WWE is doing now, I mean, you're going to get what you're going to get. It's fine. But to go out of your way like that and make it, and to acknowledge that it's the worst match of the year, and it's just not fair to Bray. Honestly, and not for LA Knight either.
It's not fair to anybody.
It's not for anyone involved, and no one can say anything about it besides LA Knight. He'll probably just brush it off because he's doing his old shtick or whatever it is. But I'm sure behind the scenes he's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, yeah, it wasn't great, but I mean, that wasn't the point. We weren't supposed to put on a 5-star match. Bray was supposed to squash him pretty much, and then build the storyline of his family. That was the whole point of the fucking match.
And you mentioned story, and because of what happened with Bray, of course, the story couldn't be built.
No.
And a lot of times when we talk about, and we do this all the time, and part of it's not fair, but we do it. A lot of times when we go back and evaluate matches, and we do the same thing with entertainment. Mm-hmm. We do the same thing. We use the Grammys. We do this with TV shows. We oftentimes don't isolate a singular episode or a singular match or a singular song. We emphasize the catalog, the story that has been built from said match. What do we remember around the match, right? What do we remember going into that match, and what story came out of that match? And whether it's good or bad, that's how we perceive the story. I'll give you a perfect example. Go back, actually it's been a while now. Triple H and Randy Orton, main event at WrestleMania, I want to say it was 25 or 24.
Someone of those, yeah.
The feud going into that WrestleMania was fantastic.
Triple H showed up to his house, threw him through a window.
Yeah.
That was great, yeah.
And Randy Orton, we know him as the Legend Killer, RKO and everything. This was peak. Randy Orton, evil guy, taking out the entire family. Stephanie McMahon, forget about her. Triple H, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made the match. They should have made that match an ODQ. Instead, they made it with rules, and all this build-up, all this tension for this match, and they made it a standard wrestling match.
It was for the title, too, so I kind of get you want to keep some sort of...
But my point is, it didn't fit the story.
If you're going to tell that story, maybe it doesn't need a title. Maybe it just needs the fact that they've known each other for a decade or whatever it was at that time, and, yeah. But, I mean... I don't know.
But that's my point. It's
we're going back in time and you're trying to change things and say, it could have been better like that. But we don't even know. They could have done something like that and it could have also been bad. I have no idea. I mean, with this thing with Bray and all that stuff, it could have been bad. They could have played it all the way out. He could still be alive today and we could be like, oh, well, wasted debut. Kind of didn't really do much. But at the same point, we're never going to know. And now you're living in the unknown with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking back at a singular moment and trying to judge an entire person's year off of that. Bray only had one match.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in 2023, right? Because he just had the one match against LA Knight, and that was it.
Maybe a couple.
Like dark show matches.
Or something.
Yeah,
I don't have
dark
the official,
matches or live events.
Yeah.
That was one of the last times he was on camera. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I think he was going to build up a few with Bobby Lashley at one point and then ended up going away.
Yeah, that story.
Because they never even got to Bray, I don't think. I think Bray maybe had a moment or two, but Uncle Howdy was the one that was popping in. Alexa Bliss was involved at one point, too, and everything. And now it's kind of just gone.
It. But that's just my point. It's just like, in other facets of entertainment, in sports, anything, we don't do worse anything. It's just here, it's just acceptable.
I think the person that was commenting on that too, I think they were going from the standpoint of, I think it's all satire on their end as far as even their profile.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to be anti-woke per se, and I'm not trying to be woke at all. It's just one of those things where it's like, the dude fucking died of a heart attack at 36.
No, I was gonna say
it's like, come on,
DK is cool people here.
Yeah, he's easily making points, making sense.
The St. John. St. John.
You have to, when we get done, we're gonna show Jim the profile of this guy. He looks ridiculous. If that's really his picture,
I'll show it to Jim right now.
Looks like John Cena and Ricky Stenicki. That's what it looks like when he's in that little commercial that comes out on Thursday too.
This is Cody St.
Yeah.
John. Right there.
right? I was confused too. I don't know how to address him, she, it, they, them, whatever. I don't know what your pronouns
It's
are. Maybe
2024. Leave that alone.
I should have commented in there. I don't know. This is the cool thing about this anymore. I don't have to have a filter. It's great. I can just be honest. Like, what the fuck? Like it's unbelievable.
Excalibur, go.
Stop. Yeah. Darwin also got some views on the TikTok, but no comments. Nothing crazy, so that's good. But
all right.
Yeah.
We're gonna actually lead with AEW. Who, by the way,
I can't escape these fucking guys. I swear
who,
to
by
God.
the way, let's acknowledge something good.
Got it.
They debuted a new set today. New logo.
Whoop-de-doo.
New video.
It's in the video. The video I'm going to post tomorrow.
So AEW coming off of their pay-per-view, many of their fans are saying was one of their best pay-per-views ever in company history. And there were actually a lot of decent moments. I do like the way they treat a Sting. I will admit this with Sting. They have taken care of Sting from, look, they did what WWE didn't do, and that's take care of Sting. They took care of Sting.
I'm going to let you finish because I feel like I talk too much shit all the time.
No,
So I'm going to let you finish your thought.
No, I was just saying, they treated Sting well. Went out on a winning way. Sting, 29-0. I don't know how, but he's 29-0. And the whole nine. And the pay-per-view up and down. Again, according to AEW fans, really, really good show. I didn't pay for it because, funds are a little limited. But from all involved, they said it was a good show. And I have a pointed question about AEW in just a little bit here. Jim, if you can, let me know if you have this ready. There's a particular spot that took place in Sting's match involving Darby Allin. Take a listen to this, or watch this, actually, courtesy of All Elite Wrestling. All right, so there he is up at the top there. And, all right.
You may have seen this at some point, but Darby ends up jumping off that big-ass ladder and diving right in.
Yeah, so
to a
real glass. Real glass.
So they say.
Well, the way he landed all the stitches on the back, on his back.
Even if it's breakaway glass, you can still cut yourself on it.
Yeah, he had a ton of cuts.
He only had 12 stitches, though. So, bravo. Good job.
Glass spilt over. And the one thing
you can take it off, Jim, if you want. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and the one thing I quote tweeted out of it, I said that AEW is in for one hell of a lawsuit. If one of those pieces of glass...
Look, there's a mouse.
Excuse me. If one of those pieces of glass went into the crowd, if there was a little scrape.
Yeah.
If it was something there. Now, people have pointed out, well, AEW puts out a fan code of conduct. And one of the things that it says in the code of conduct is if you sit in the front row or sit near the front rows, then you need to pay attention at all times because you're subject to, being hit.
Mm-hmm.
But here lays the problem with that. In baseball, when you go to a baseball game, you are subject. You need to pay attention to the game. If you don't, if you're on your phone, something happens, you're going to get hit. But at a baseball game, that's not predetermined.
Yeah. They're not throwing glass into the third row and off third baseline. Like, it doesn't...
If you go to a Guardians game and Josh Naylor hits a foul ball and it just happens to line drive and you get hit, you cannot prove that Josh Naylor did that on purpose.
Because he didn't.
You can't prove that the Guardians did not put precautions up and say, hey, you need to pay attention. This is what's going on. Josh Naylor's not standing there. Baseball comes, boom, going right at there.
He didn't point to the fan in the 17th row than the first baseline. Yeah, if you want to try.
Let's try it again here if we
give it a
can,
look
Jim.
here and see if we can get it.
Again, courtesy of All Elite Wrestling. Here it is. Right there. So what? You see the lady in the pink? There in that front, she's checking. Now, she's scraped. First of all, how does this move? And again, watch it one more time.
Stupid mud show bullshit.
Thank you, Jim. Again, courtesy of All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah. Well,
how does that move enhance the match, first off?
It's a big stunt, Double A. It's the awe factor. It's shock.
But Mick Foley did it 25 years ago.
The funny thing is they had 20 more minutes of a match after that. That's the problem. When Mick Foley did one of those spots, when he fell off the cell, he came back in, did one more spot through the cell, which was crazier because he almost died when he went through the cell, and it was over. Like, you don't... And it was also Mick Foley. He was over with everybody. Everybody wanted to see him. He was getting 6 million views a week on TV.
So, I'll be honest. We're in a generation that grew up. It's fitting that we're talking about this when Paul Heyman is going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. We grew up on ECW. We grew up on Mick Foley. So, I'm just pointing this out. I think that spot was stupid. But maybe some will say we're being hypocritical because we grew up on Mick Foley doing spots like, or he didn't do that.
We didn't see that shit every week. It's every week they find another way to do some dumb stuff that doesn't. And again, it's one thing. So if there's going to be one guy that does that kind of thing in AEW, it makes sense for it to be Darby because he's a human car crash, right? That's his whole gimmick. I don't care about my life. As long as I'm still breathing when it's over, I'm fine. He literally said it in the press conference afterwards. I'm still breathing. I'm still here. Congratulations. But like,
please make it the 40.
But if that kind of spot should be at the end of the match, it should affect the outcome somehow. He went on to wrestle, like I said, another 20, 25 minutes, and then eventually get the winning coffin drop before Sting put one of the Jacksons in the Scorpion Deathlock or whatever, and they tapped out or whatever it was. Don't even get me started on Sting in that situation. But nevertheless, because you said a bunch of things that I just don't agree with.
I try to give AEW the benefit of the doubt because I love that WWE is very successful at this moment. And WWE, I think, is at a creative high with Triple H. In fact, every week when we plan this podcast, I'm like, there's something I want to criticize from WWE. Like, sometimes it's not a good show when you have nothing to criticize. But you want the number 2 to be good. I want AEW to be good.
AEW's got to be careful.
But we get upset, probably more you than I do, but we get upset.
Well, what gave that away?
We get upset when, A, they make stupid mistakes, and B, they pretend like they don't make stupid mistakes.
So TNA is, I guess they're having a pay-per-view on Friday or something like that, or coming up here, and they sold out a 14,000 seat arena. So AEW's got to be careful because TNA's under new leadership now too. And if they actually get their head on straight with some of the talent they're bringing in, the partnerships they have too with, I think they work with New Japan as well, and even like MLW, that kind of stuff. There may be some jostling for the number 2 spot if they actually get their shit together, because we've seen in the past TNA can put on a decent product if they know what they're doing at some point. Debatable even back then, but nevertheless, still it's a thing.
There's a point I want to bring up about their days back then in about 2 minutes.
Well, they got WWE guys, and they have guys like Ziggler and some of those guys now that are making some waves over there. But nevertheless, I kind of want to talk about this whole Sting thing too.
Go ahead.
You said, I'm kind of going in order here, they took care of Sting. No. Absolutely not. It's a shame what happened to him in his match with Seth Rollins in WWE, but WWE protected Sting for the most part. He wasn't doing these kind of stupid-ass spots. He wasn't coming down from the rafters at 65 years old. I get it's nostalgia pop, whatever it is too, but still. He's 65 years old. He's jumping through tables. He's getting kicked through glass, all this bullshit. No. That's not what you do to a 65-year-old man.
But you don't start off. That I agree with. You're not getting an argument out of me from that.
You don't know
Let me. You're right. Go ahead. Say what you about to say. No sell.
This dude got hit with 13 finishers in a row and got a 1 count and got back up and didn't sell anything.
Oh, we got to talk.
He's 65. He's legally allowed to retire. He can collect retirement. Social Security.
AEW is suddenly the king of the kick out at 1.
Just barely.
Amazing storytelling.
Everybody.
Amazing sequences out at 1.
There's no storytelling there.
Not even.
Hit me
we're on a rocking chair out at 1.
Hit me with your best move 5 minutes into the match so I can kick out at 1 and we can wrestle for another 35 minutes. Hit each other's finishers 5,000 or 6,000 more times. And somehow you lose by a fucking roll-up. Like, garbage. Actual garbage. The people involved are talented. Will Ospreay, talented. Whatever the guy's name is, Takeshita or Takeshita, whatever it's called. He talented dude, younger guy, could be one of the future stars for Japan. As far as like kind of carrying the flag when guys like Okada retire. Fucking garbage.
Not the way you just put him over.
Well, his name is I think it's Takeshita or something like that, but I call him Takeshita because it's just easier for me.
That's not his name. Go ahead, man.
Just
call him that now.
It's Takeshita. Okay, that's what it was. It's Takeshita. I remember it, but it's spelled. I can't even I can't mess with you guys. Take a shita is what it spells out. Like it's insane. If you put the hyphens in, it'd be perfect, but we can't do that, so we can't. But nevertheless, yeah, it's Takeshita is his actual last name. I remember that now.
Can they put AEW Collision on HBO?
At this point, they're presenting a more edgy product now. Everyone's going through real glass. Oh my goodness!
Hey,
fucking garbage.
AEW Real Glass. Brought to you by Window Nation.
65-year-old man goes 29-0 and facing guys that are half his age, that are stronger, bigger, faster, but he's invincible, right? That's not protecting him. Having matches like that is not taking care of Sting. It's not. You're endangering this guy's life at that point.
That's what he wanted.
Sometimes you have to protect people from themselves when they're supposed to be in a professional environment. That's why WWE said, no, you're not going to do any of this great. And he ended up getting a world championship match. And unfortunately, the buckle bomb happened and it messed up his back and his neck. And I'm sorry for that, but at least it was a normal wrestling match.
Well, Sting did not get off to a good start with WWE. He inexplicably lost to Triple H at Mania.
That was a Vince thing, but yeah.
Well, I have to put that on record. That's on his record. Sting did not wrestle under Triple H's WWE.
I am not trying to say his WWE tenure went great, because it didn't, because they had that little bit of a pitfall. Even though he came back and he got momentum again, like I said, had that match with Seth, that could have been great. Unfortunately, injuries happen, that kind of thing. But the fact that he hasn't gotten injured doing all this is something people at AEW will bring up. Like, oh, but he's still healthy. Because you're having him play a superhuman. It's almost like in his head. Sting is a professional. He's been doing this for, 30 years, 40 years, whatever it's been?
40 years.
Yeah, in his head, he's not going to show pain. He's not going to show... He'll, do it, for the show of it all, but he's not going to actually physically show that. He's old school. He's the Ric Flair. He's that kind of guy where he's like, no, I'm going to finish what I need to do, and these young guys want to do this shit. I'm going to make sure I can keep up with them a little bit. He's competitive. They all are.
Well, according to Sports Illustrated, Sting actually... Everybody lobbied for Sting to win that match and go...
Except Sting.
Sting actually, picked the Young Bucks. Fine.
So to speak.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he can say that all he wants. But...
And then he also pushed to lose the match so that the Young Bucks could go over.
He wanted someone to be able to carry the titles out of the match instead of having to vacate them like they did.
Yeah.
But
should we accept AEW for who they are?
Do we have a choice? Is Tony Khan going to be in charge until they're either out of business or have no fans in attendance, which they're getting close to?
He has the money.
Yeah, well, he can spend as much as he wants. As long as Dad keeps writing the checks, he's going to be fine. So you don't have to worry about it. I mean, Dad's the billionaire. Dad's got all the money. Tony just kind of sits there like, hey, hi.
You brought up TNA a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
So back in the late 2000s, TNA also had their own identity. TNA was known for the X Division. They didn't sell either, but the X until the finish. But it was high flying. They didn't make that the entirety of the show.
There's a reason why they fell off. I mean, there you go.
Yeah, but at some point, Dixie Carter and everyone said, well, in order to close the gap with WWE, TNA needs to be a little bit more like WWE and bring in some of the older guys from WWE, bring in the names, and try to close that gap. They were never able to close the gap. And maybe AEW might be looking at this and saying, well, if we try to be more like them, we're making a mistake that TNA and other companies in the past have done.
So we're going to try to be more like WCW and Hotshot everything and go out of business. Instead of still being, at least TNA's been around for 25 years. WCW's gone. Gone.
AEW's new logo actually looks like WCW now.
It's all part of the fucking plan. Like, I guarantee you at some point Tony wants to get bought by TKO. And he wants to be able to be under the umbrella. Because he wants to cross-promote and all that stuff, too, with UFC and everything as well. I'm sure he would love that. Honestly. And do the same thing that Triple H in the same position. Chief Content Officer or whatever it is.
So,
he's kind of the head of AEW still while he's under the umbrella of TKO.
So, all those fans on Sunday who said that pay-per-view was all-time great pay-per-view.
All 12 of them, yeah.
All-time great. If you don't like this, you're not a professional wrestling fan.
I don't. You can fuck off. Yeah. Bless you.
Bless you.
Oh, it's cough? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
But
he was getting sick from the AEW thing. There you go. Yeah, I don't blame him. I feel under the weather now, too.
Is it almost just better just to say, this is who they are, and Kyle and Double A, why even bother covering them?
For the average fan, yes, it's fine to say that, but for us, no, because our job is to break down wrestling, and it's going to come up, and it gets clicks, at least on our social medias, as far as us talking about it, because we're not telling any lies with any of this. It's how we feel. Double A's a little more reserved compared to me, at least on some things. I can piss you off if I want to. I know where to kind of push things in certain spots, but nevertheless, like for me, it's a lot easier, just because I've watched this since I was a little kid. You have too, but I mean, like for me, it was something that I was like part of my identity growing up. I trained to be a wrestler at one point. Like it was something that I was going to try and do. Like it's, and even to go through that and see kind of the pitfalls at the beginning of training and all that and kind of things to do and what not to do. I learned some of these things in 3 months compared to what some of these assholes have never even tried to learn.
Yeah.
And say they're professional wrestlers and go out there and make a mockery of this shit.
They just don't, there's no
storytelling. There's no telling them what to do or no helping them improve because they already know everything.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why some of these guys like Cody and some of these guys left.
That's why CM Punk didn't fit.
Because he wants to help. He said it when he came back to WWE. I want to help. I want to make sure I can talk to these guys and give them advice. But if you don't want it, and then you're going to be an asshole on top of it, well then fuck you. I'm gonna punch back. I'm not gonna take that shit. He's 46 years old. He's been in the business for 25 years or whatever it's been. Like he probably knows a few things you don't. Like it's so you don't have to ask him questions. But if he comes up to you, it's like, hey, did you see this or that? Like, oh yeah. What did you think? What something you did different? Whatever. Like have that like courtesy for someone, respect for somebody that's been in this for a long time and has won and lost more matches than you'll ever have, probably.
I want to show you guys something before we move on because we're going to talk about the massive tag team match that's going to happen at WrestleMania. Less than a year ago, AEW presented a championship match featuring the 4 pillars of AEW. I want to show this to the camera. We're not even going to explain it, but if we can, this is the 4 pillars of AEW right now. In fact, so that's the first one.
A little blurry, but that's Jack Perry.
Mm-hmm.
He's now essentially been fired.
Yeah.
He's in New Japan and a new stable out there. He may make a comeback at some point, but for now he's out of AEW.
This is number 2.
Sammy Guevara, also suspended. He actually is suspended by the company.
Yeah.
Performance enhancing? Was that what it was?
Something.
Some sort of supplement or whatever.
Involved with Jeff Hardy and all that stuff.
Okay, it could be storyline, but at the same point, not on TV right now.
Pillar number 3.
Bleeding from the back because he jumped off a fucking 20-foot ladder into a thing of real glass. Yeah.
That's real glass, encouraged by pillar number 1. And then I feel bad about this one because we both like him, but this is MJF.
Who is still out with injury. He had the torn labrum in his shoulder, so he was going to miss some time. That was kind of always built in.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what he's doing. I still think there's a possibility, very small possibility he can go to WWE because technically his contract was up. He probably re-signed with AEW just because it's the safe place to be for now. He's also only 27. So he's got plenty of time. He can sign another 4-year deal and come afterwards. I think he sees Roman and Seth, and he kind of goes, I probably fit better with like the Braun Breaker, the Carmelo Hayes, those guys. Let me cut my teeth a little bit more over here. And then when I really want to make that jump as I start getting older, that's when I'll go there. I'll go for like 5-6 years, have a Batista run, that kind of thing, and then moves.
I'll leave the last part about AEW before we move on. I'll give him a little positive, and this is where, like, don't screw this up. You got a hot star right now, Swerve. He's hot right now.
That's one thing they've done, at least from a getting over with their crowd standpoint. He's still not over mainstream. Nobody knows who he is. Either the whole Jaguars thing didn't work either. Nobody chanted his song. Nobody knew who the fuck he was. And the Jaguars won 10 games this year, so there actually were people in the stands, which is impressive.
But this is their opportunity here now.
to build a, not technically homegrown. He was in WWE first for a few years, but still having to rebrand him, have this kind of big thing. Some people say like Adam Page is in there too. I mean,
No.
He's
Swerve. No, Swerve.
He's made for me.
That finish was perfect. He took the pin, get him out of the picture. Swerve, you have an opportunity with him to really, even though his history with WWE, this is your guy that you could build up. Use Samoa Joe, this incredible champion, put him over. You have an opportunity.
We kind of figured Joe was going to be a spot champ anyway for a few months. Give him a decent reign, but it's kind of like giving him his flowers, so to speak, too, where he gets a nice little run. Gets to dethrone MJF, which is a big moment, too, and then have that story go in a different direction. Joe can we can find the next person, and Swerve organically came up as that guy. And I can see him being champ for a while, too. I don't know who would beat him at that point for a good extended period.
But
so
build him up, get the fans behind him, you have a shot.
Probably
All right.
Swerve at MJF at some point, probably, too.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. You got a chance. All right. We set out this show last week, this tag team match. I don't know if we were fans of this tag team match happening, but I said we still have to respect that it could happen. And technically it hasn't been accepted yet, but it's going to happen. Night one, The Rock and Roman on one side, and then Cody and Seth on the other side.
By the way, watch this Hot Ones thing with Becky Lynch. That was kind of entertaining.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
The end was kind of fun, too. Say 3 nice things about CM Punk. He's like, Here's the thing. I could say there's probably some nice things to say about CM Punk, but I'd rather suffer through this hot win. He's a man of conviction, and so
yes,
am I.
He is. Yes, he is. So, tag team match. It's going to happen night one of WrestleMania.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, 100%.
So, my question, who should win and who should take the pinfall?
Well, Rock and Roman should win. Because The Rock's not going to come back to lose a match. If he's going to be in a tag team match, he's going to win it. And Seth should take the pin. If they have Cody take that pin.
Can you imagine that?
Actually, the sad part is I probably can.
I actually circled that in my head like, Cody might take this
for
pin.
Bloodline shenanigans, that kind of shit, that kind of thing.
Might take this pin.
Yeah. And he can't. So the reason why Rock and Roman have to win that match, obviously it's The Rock. He needs to win a match, that kind of thing. He hasn't wrestled in a long time. B is Cody has to face the Bloodline rules at WrestleMania Night 2. He has to go through the entire Bloodline. That's when you're going to see the Jay getting involved, the Sammy maybe getting involved, Kevin too.
Why? Why does he have to do? Why does that have to happen?
Because he needs to overcome the entire Bloodline to finish his story and win the championship.
We were talking about this at the basketball game yesterday. You got my mind moving like, that makes a lot of sense.
Rock special guest referee, whatever it is, that kind of thing. The Rock will be involved in that match somehow at some point. He's not just going to be ringside. He'll be either calling it with McAfee and Cole, or he'll be
everyone listed at that PowerPoint. You're going to have a timekeeper. You're going to have special commentator, special enforcers.
Has Cody actually fully explained? Because he kind of admitted that The Rock told the truth on Raw about, hey, he did say that. He said that nobody wants to see Cody and Roman again. Nobody wants to see. They want to see Rock and Roman. It's a once in a lifetime type thing. It's the biggest match ever. But then he said, but the funny thing happened. You people started chanting, "We want Cody." The brass saw it. I saw it. All that stuff. And then he did say the final straw was when he showed the thing.
He said he snapped when the PowerPoint.
Yeah, because I told you that's got to be his reason. If everything The Rock said is technically true, obviously blurring a few lines there with how he said it, the thing where he said there is only truly one royal family in W. As soon as he said that line, I'm like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Cody's coming out here in a few
Yeah.
seconds
Mhm.
because that's his whole thing. It's like, my family's
Yeah.
wrestling royalty too, that kind of stuff. There's more than one. There's the Flairs. There's all that shit. But
And story, the foundation of the story is still kind of shaky.
I'm still worried
It's still a
about.
little shaky.
I'm worried about Seth and all this too. I told you it'd be kind of cool to have him wrestle on night one as well, like have the World Heavyweight Championship match be first, and have him go through a grueling match and have Bloodline interfere.
In night one,
or somewhere along that
Okay.
way, however it was, or you have it be like the main event after that match or whatever. Like have him.
well,
be,
it's going to be simple, right? I mean, Seth is all lit. I can actually see a scenario where on Friday, think of it this way: somebody pushes for marriage, right? Pushing, and it finally happens, or you get close. It finally happens.
Cody called him his friend now. They were enemies like 2 months ago.
Right.
They hated each other 2 months.
Right.
Yeah.
I can see, because of what happened on Monday, Seth even say like, I don't know. Even
After Drew kicked his head off. Yeah,
it's
that kind of thing.
And that would actually make sense.
But he's a man of conviction.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but again,
His past gives us pause because he's obviously turned on people a bunch of times before.
if Rollins WrestleMania consists of a 30-minute epic night one tag team match, and then a night two beatdown by Drew McIntyre, and he loses the world title in 5 minutes or less, that's a successful WrestleMania in my book as a viewer.
I just don't. He's gonna have a full day to recover. Is my only thing. Like from the night one, it's also a tag match.
Not
so
necessarily, because technically yes.
It's the
But
it's
if
the
Bloodline-
co-main event on night two. By the way, it's the co-main event. It's gonna be going on second to last probably before Roman.
You could call it the main event and have that match open.
The co-main event. They're gonna have it come on last. One of the last matches. It'll be Seth and Drew in the first main event spot, and then the one after that will be Cody and Roman.
But what I'm saying is, you could still call it a main event match and still open.
You could.
And,
I don't think they will. But
I think they will, because McIntyre, to use Bloodline terms, is going to smash Seth Rollins. All McIntyre is going to have to do, all he has to do is pick up the pieces, because Seth, he has to be involved in everything, right? And we're going to talk about McIntyre. Everything McIntyre has said is right. Rollins has to be involved in everything.
Yeah.
Rollins is focused. Yeah, he cares about the world title.
He's a junkie.
But the Bloodline, he has to be the one. He has to be in the spotlight to take it down. Drew is going to say something like, you could have just called Randy Orton. You could have had somebody else. You could have had somebody else jump in and partner with Cody. But no.
Sammy, Kevin, all these guys that don't have.
All these guys.
Sammy's been looking for his way to WrestleMania forever.
Sammy's been trying to find a spot at WrestleMania. Jey Uso trying to find a spot at WrestleMania. No. You got to step in. So fine. Have your match, night one, show out, be the guy, take the Rock and Roman to the limit. Prove that you're a credible world champion. Go all in. Even win the match. I'm not advocating for it. I want Rock and Roman to win. But even go out of your way to try to win this match.
Here's the thought we haven't.
Then,
go ahead.
And then, I'll say this real quick. Bloodline comes down, lays out Cody and Seth, injures Seth. Injury angle.
That's a good play. Yeah, injuring him. So he can't help out on the main event, too, with Cody. And
Night two, you open with Seth and McIntyre. McIntyre wins pretty much with ease the world title in under 5 minutes. And then Bloodline could come out again, injure Seth. Essentially, if you want to, write him off television.
Could be a nice little break for him. He's earned it. I mean, chance to fully get right.
There you go.
We haven't discussed the possibility of Cody and Seth saying no. Because that means it could be more punishment. That's how Seth gets hurt. It doesn't have to be in the match. It can be leading up to WrestleMania. Oh, you're 100%? Not anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
pretty interesting. And he said it on purpose that he's medically clear, fully cleared.
Ironically enough, yeah, a full month before he was supposed to be cleared. Because it was supposed to be like right at WrestleMania for
Or worse, like he was in legit danger of
or
missing
like
Mania.
missing altogether with a partially torn PCL, whatever it is. Like I've had that happen before. It's not an easy injury to come back from.
Because we talked about, because we thought Punk was going to face.
Well, that was the original
Rollins.
plan.
Yeah, that was the original plan.
Then he got hurt in the one match he was in.
What the hell was the original plan?
The original plan was Cody and Roman and Seth and Punk. And The Rock would be involved in some capacity in Roman and Cody, probably as a special guest referee, whatever it was, brought in to oversee the big, we're going to have an ending to all this, guys, and it's going to happen here. There was probably a different avenue that was planned originally, but when Punk got hurt, things obviously changed. Because Cody winning the Royal Rumble was always going to lead to that. I think that they could have still had this storyline in place if it was Punk and Seth, but it wouldn't have made more sense to pull Seth away because Seth and Punk had that more organic story. We haven't seen that in forever. We've seen Rollins and Drew McIntyre a couple months ago. Like not even.
Crown Jewel.
Yeah, and they faced each other on a Raw, too, for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Now Drew is a full-turned heel, and honestly, like the best thing going in WWE right now.
Yeah, we're going to talk about them in a
I sent
couple
you
minutes.
his TikTok, which is fantastic. He like drives up to a crowd of people after the show on Monday night, and they're all chanting CM Punk's name, the guy he injured, so to speak. He's like laughing, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Then he turns on Cult of Personality, CM Punk's theme song, and he starts blasting in his car. He's like, "Yeah!" Like he's killing it right now. He's one of the best things I've seen in a long time when it comes to a natural heel, and it makes you wonder, like all that time being a face, if we could have got this kind of Drew. Oh,
read this tweet.
this
Just read it from Drew McIntyre.
out loud.
Yes.
This is from Drew McIntyre at DMcIntyre WWE on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it now. Quote, "What did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed..." There's some stars. I'm assuming, is that effing dumb F? Okay. I'm trying to watch my language now for your mom who watches this podcast. So
She does not care unless I say it. Go ahead.
Empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like Seth Rollins.
You already cursed like 50 times in the first 20 minutes. I think
listen,
you'll be fine.
we can all try to do a little bit better, okay?
Go ahead. Sure.
To go out on national TV and go into business for himself. What did I ever do to deserve that? Dijak actually commented on this. Wow. See, the guy from NXT.
Uh-huh.
He said, "Can you do me a solid next time and post the swears because I want to know what the current fine is?" Thanks.
So
that's a good post. That's a good response.
It's
Dijak
a good
gets
response.
thumbs up.
Do you know where it came from?
Oh, this is the yeah, because you sent me that too on Twitter. They were going back and forth, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Trying to look. Because you sent this to me.
I sent it to you
Oh,
today.
bitch, where was that energy?
Mm-hmm.
When Seth sprinted out or whatever it was, yeah.
This is where it came from. I'm just going to play it to the mic.
In this world, to deserve an empty-headed, fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself. For what? What did I do, Dave? What did I ever do? Didn't do a goddamn thing. What's your name, sir? Fuck the Pittsburgh Penguins. What do you do?
Little side point. That was CM Punk in his famous Brawl Out post press conference.
Courtesy of All Elite Wrestling.
He quoted what Punk said for
Word
a different
for
company.
word.
Word for
Word from word. Drew McIntyre.
He's amazing. That when Punk gets back from the torn tricep or whatever it is, bicep, whatever. When he comes back from that, it's going to be fantastic. That's going to be a great feud.
And Drew knows it.
Oh yeah,
Drew knows
oh
it.
he's built it up so much.
He knows it.
CM
And
Punk
that's
doesn't say
why
anything.
and that if Drew McIntyre walks out of WrestleMania as the world champion,
He'll be champion until Punk comes back easily.
we are good.
Yeah,
Raw is fine.
he signed a new deal. He had to. He's back.
Raw's fine.
They're trusting him with a co-main event.
Oh, I got to mention this technicality. If Cody wins the championship, Raw technically has 2 world champions.
Cody will go to SmackDown.
Cody will go to SmackDown.
100%.
Yeah. Drew could take care of Raw.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Cody has Randy on SmackDown. He has some guys he could actually have really good feuds with for that title. The Bloodline's on SmackDown, so
Yeah.
they're not just going to all just disappear, poof, gone. Like, I imagine Solo will step up. Jimmy will try to step up. Jimmy, maybe fresh off a win off of Jay, can get put in
I don't
there.
want Jimmy to beat Jay. I do not want Jimmy to beat Jay.
You're going to be disappointed at WrestleMania, buddy.
What's the win?
The win is Jimmy becomes a main eventer. That's the
Who
win.
cares if Jimmy, the hottest superstar in W2, Drew McIntyre, and main event Jey Uso.
That's why. They're separating those two. They're starting to come up on their own. We talked about this last week. Jimmy needs that kind of signature win to kind of get up and be considered on Jay's level. Who better to face and beat than Jay?
No. Because to me, the redemption story of Jay escaping his demons from what he has done in the past with the Bloodline, going to Raw, getting a fresh start, Cody endorsing, and technically by storyline, bringing in Jey Uso over to Raw. This is bigger than Jimmy Uso. I'm sorry, like
nothing's bigger than family. AA.
The level. Where's your place in that PowerPoint? The level.
I'm like at the very bottom. So The Rock made this big PowerPoint with all the different people in his family that have been in the wrestling business. That's what he's talking about. There was like 45 names on this big ass tree that was posted like when they were in Las Vegas for a press conference. My name is like all the way like in. It's underneath the stage. It was like down.
You know, Nia Jax was also on that PowerPoint.
It's honestly insane. I can't believe they're related. All Samoan like dynasty type thing. It's like a whole family affair. Rikishi's did it. All that stuff. Like all these old guys. Yeah.
I didn't. By the way, about Rikishi, give props to his theme music. His theme music is a hit.
The Too Cool theme music.
Yeah.
You're bumping that in the car when you were watching me ride my bike in the rain here?
Yeah. I should have turned the volume up. I was
putting like a honk or something like that. It's just sort of like
the two hottest stars in WWE, besides everything that's going on with Bloodline and Cody and Seth, by the way, almost what he said about Rock. Like, dude, this is why you turn
diarrhea, Dwayne.
Yeah, man, this is why
you got the crowd chanting it. I mean, I'll give him credit. They went through.
That was risking into turning on Seth territory. But your next two hottest stars is Drew McIntyre and main event Jey Uso, and someone pointed out on Twitter Jey Uso doesn't win that often. By the way. He has a 2-6 or 2-8 record in main event matches over the last year.
But he's in the main event.
But he's way over.
Selling stuff. Yeah, he's doing his thing.
But I think he has to win this match against Jimmy. I think the story calls for it. I think the story calls for it.
I think you want the Bloodline looking as strong as possible going into that match against Cody, and that means Jimmy riding high too.
Well, yeah, Jimmy can ride high going into Mania.
No, I'm talking about into the match, not into Mania, into the final match of the conclusion of WrestleMania. You want the Bloodline the strongest they've ever been. Rock and Roman winning the first night, Jimmy winning his match. If Solo has a match, him winning that match too. I'm not sure if he's going to or not, but still, you want everybody. It's all W's. And then Roman drops the ball at the end. That's how the full Bloodline begins to crumble.
Do you care if Jimmy delivers the W?
I do. I think it matters. I think it really does. I really think it matters. I think it's going to be on night one too.
I think the Bloodline as a whole is already at its peak.
No.
How higher can they go?
Winning 2 matches on night 1 of WrestleMania.
I don't care if they win 2 matches.
I don't care if you don't care. It's just what it is.
That's not what it is. I don't care.
They can get higher. They can win more.
No, where the hell is Jimmy going to be at as far as higher?
Beating Jay.
He doesn't need.
You said this last week. You said Jimmy is not on Jay's level, correct?
He's not.
So how do you get to that level?
I don't care that he gets to this level. I don't want him to get to that level.
I'm not asking if you care or how you want it. I'm saying how do you get there? It's not an opinion thing. It's how does he actually, what does he have to do to build himself to get to that level? Who does he have to beat to be considered on the same level as Jay?
He needs to get W starting SmackDown.
Okay.
He needs to get W's against prime-time players.
He's got a month to do that against some of the guys maybe that could be kind of tied into the
That's on the fringe.
Yeah.
Fringe main event. He needs to get key W's.
You know, he's not going to get them cleaned because that's not the Bloodline style.
I understand that, but he needs to
build some momentum
through there. Build momentum.
Yeah.
He needs to build momentum, but I don't want him to win at Mania. There's so much money. Think about this. The first feud for McIntyre as Raw World Champion out of Mania against Jey Uso as one of the first feuds. Think about that.
Could be.
Think about that.
But they could also,
and that's money.
But they don't need. Jay doesn't need to win that match with Jimmy to have that feud with Drew. It makes sense.
Oh, I think so.
How?
I think Jay. Think about the scenery.
Jay doesn't lose any of his popularity by losing to Jimmy. That match is going to be great regardless.
Think about the scenery with Jay if he overcomes his brother at Mania.
His story was never about beating his own brother, though. It was about winning a championship. This is going to be the side feud for Jay before the main goal is beating Drew for the World Heavyweight title. I don't think we talk about story shifting.
I think we're both wrong in that. His story is about escaping the demons that was the bloodline.
No, because he wants them to come to Raw. He just said that in an interview. He wants Jimmy. He wants Solo to come back over to Raw and fucking leave Roman behind. Roman is get away from Roman.
That hasn't been presented on like main television.
He said that on Raw.
But we're not at that part of the story. He kind of jumped ahead there. We're not at that part yet.
But he said it.
I understand that he said it, and he's wrong. He's not. He's wrong.
Sometimes I get this way too. When you're so set on like an opinion you have, you kind of just dive right into it. I'm terrible at that. Like where I just kind of like shut everything else out. But yeah, I get it.
We're not at that part of the story yet. In their mind, okay, taking a face value that we are there.
Well, Jay also just said from the beginning, right? My goal is to win a singles championship in 2024. It's not to beat Jimmy at WrestleMania. It's to win a singles championship, right?
Yes.
And who has been costing him those singles titles? Jimmy. So that's why they're going to have that match.
But why did he go to Raw? You're right. But why did he go to Raw in the first place?
To get away from Roman. Not his family. He didn't. It was part of that, but technically Roman's his family, right?
Right.
Roman was the one. He still considers Roman as the person who's curating the evilness in Jimmy and in Solo and all these guys.
There's one point that I want to bring up quickly, and I know we got to move here. In that family, in that line of family, who is supposed to talk to the elders?
Roman.
Only Roman, right? There's a point in there, and one of my buddies pointed this out. There's a point in there, like something happened with Paul Heyman, and like somebody called The Rock, and other things were happening. Who else called the elders?
Oh, Jay did.
Jay.
That's why they had tribal combat. They had that match.
Why was that allowed? I was just planting seeds here.
Yeah, because they saw what Roman was doing, and they were like, maybe not so much.
Planting little seeds here for the eventual Rock Roman match at Mania 41 that you
That's gonna
pointed
happen.
out.
That's going to happen.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Pointing that out.
Can we have heel Rock versus heel Roman?
One of them's turning, and it will be The Rock. It's going to be The Rock that's going to turn. But one of them's going to turn.
Well, Roman can. So, Roman's technically a heel, but at this
point,
can
Roman turn?
Here's the thing: when he loses that championship, that's what we talked about before. Like he's a special attraction at that point. He can't wrestle normal anymore. He's now. This is the side part of all. I think Roman's closer to retiring than he is anything else.
Oh, I agree with that.
Just because he can't go back to the schedule like Seth or like any of these guys because he's made himself so exclusive. And again, one of the greatest of all time as far as title reigns, all that stuff too. After this, he's going to have the big match with The Rock too. After that, I don't know what he does. Does he try and get the title back at some point? Mm-hmm. But if he wins it again, what is he going to hold up for another 3? Like he can't.
He can't.
He can't.
That's that's
it.
You
can't. You can't.
The moment he drops this belt,
he's away. He's done. Like he's not going to be a champion probably ever again.
All he could do is a special attraction matches.
The
I promise we're going to get
thing,
to. Yeah. I've been thinking about this topic for like 2 or 3 weeks. We'll get to it next week. Where does he rank among the Mount Rushmore? John Cena put Roman in his top 4.
Roman, Rock, Stone Cold, and
Austin.
Yeah.
Put him in there.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about where he stands because the story is kind of incomplete. Can he crack that? Can he crack our top 4? Can he crack the general wrestling audience's top 4? I don't know.
So how about this? Instead of my list next week, because I wanted to do a list for see who could Stone Cold could face, we can push that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do our Mount Rushmores. Let's do men and women.
Okay.
That's actually
we'll do that next week.
Yeah, we're doing a show meeting for next week, so that's great.
We'll do that next
it's
week.
Here for you guys, so you can see it.
All right, we're gonna debut a new segment here, in or out. So we're at the point now. I'm going to assume this podcast will be released on Thursday, March 7th, where we are exactly a month out from WrestleMania. And I have a list of 7 names. 7 names of wrestlers who we don't know if they're going to be on the WrestleMania card. I'll just throw the name out. You tell me if they're in or out. And the key here, we're talking about the main card. No
not the
pre-show.
Not Friday night
Not
before.
SmackDown.
Not NXT. Saturday morning.
The main card.
Right.
Will they be in?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
We'll start with the women. Nia Jax.
In or out is the...
In or out?
In. They'll find a way to get her in.
We mentioned when we did our WrestleMania cards that she's going to find her way in one of the matches that are like main spotlight matches. I said she's going to find her way into the triple threat or into the Rhea Ripley-Becky Lynch match.
Doesn't look so likely now, unfortunately.
I don't think that will happen.
What the hell's going on with Jade? And Bianca, too. Bianca doesn't have a match. I imagine maybe Friday we'll get some more clarity on that as they kind of get closer because we're starting to see more things move now.
Ooh, I didn't put Bianca down, but that
Bianca. She'll be there. She's in. She's been in.
They're promoting her like crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So for her not to have a program.
Her undefeated streak or whatever it is, too, yeah.
So for her not to have a program.
The reason why she's saying undefeated, too, you think Jade, because of her undefeated streak in AEW, who can beat the undefeated, the one that was also undefeated. So, but nevertheless.
So you got Nia in?
I think they'll find a way to get her in.
I have her in as well.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of...
Who and what.
Who and what.
They could have her do the tag team showcase and just be by herself because she just dominated everybody anyway, so why not? Braun Strowman, give her a 10-year-old to partner with.
Yeah.
That worked so well the first time. See, I can be critical of WWE too. That fucking sucked. It was terrible.
I have her in... I have her in against this next person. I think they're going to find a way. So I gave away my answer, but Liv Morgan.
In, but again, it's going to be probably like a tag team match or something. Maybe her and Raquel rekindle something. I don't know, but I mean, it's they pigeonhole themselves because we want the one-on-one matches. We want Becky and Rhea. We want obviously Io and Bayley. You know, we want Bianca and Jade or Bianca, Jade, and Nia, that kind of thing. Like we don't want these other women's matches, and that's the problem.
You mentioned
secondary
the lack
championship
of Intercontinental Championship in the women's or something.
Well, both. There should be like a U.S. and an Intercontinental title for the men because you have more on the roster. The problem is the women's roster is close to the men's in size now. It's getting up there. So you got to build secondary titles at some point. So like,
and you try to get away with it with the tag team championships,
but you can't because they're going all over the place and doing all this traveling too, and it's crazy and it's too much. Like it just is. So, but I think she'll find a way to get in somehow.
Tiffany Stratton.
She's actually being rumored to face Bianca now. That's what I've been seeing in a one-on-one match.
So if she's in, is Jade out? They
may wait for Jade maybe night after she debuts on Raw, and she says I'm home, now I'm on Raw. I mean that could be a big night after. So I'm gonna say she's worked her way in because of the reaction to her and this whole Tiffy time thing and all that stuff. Australia was big on her for some reason, maybe because she looks Australian. I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna say in.
I have her right now out.
She might get like a pre-show match too if she's not in like a Bianca match or something like that. So technically she would fall out of that. Liv could be in that area too, pre-show match. But
all right, over to the men's side.
Okay.
Kevin Owens.
In.
Against who? I
think we want the match between Logan Paul and LA Knight, but at the same point, I think we're going to get Logan Paul, Randy Orton, LA Knight, AJ Styles in a flat match. I've also seen it being a 6-way match and it being a ladder match. Adding 2 more guys in there. Take your pick. There's a couple people you can throw in, that kind of thing. 2 names maybe that should be on the card for WrestleMania that maybe don't have a direction. Sami Zayn could be a possibility if he's probably not going to win that gauntlet next week, so we'll see. But
so you think Chad Gable's going to win the gauntlet?
Yeah. I'm convinced now. They're expending a lot of energy and giving it a lot of TV time. Him and Sami are going to be the final 2.
Yeah. It's not even compared to the other 4.
Yeah,
those are the clear.
JD might get a little more time too, but still, it's
those 2 are the clear favorites. Yeah. But you're going with Chad Gable.
I think Chad.
Who I think has the better
story. He does
going into this, and I think he's this generation's Kurt Angle. Moveset and everything.
I will say, but Sami will. You said no. It was Kevin.
Kevin Owens.
He will be in the match. If he's not in the United States title match, he'll be in another match with somebody important. So yeah, he'll be in. Triple H loves him.
Jinder Mahal.
I fucking hope out. I hope out so much. Like I told you, I will literally quit watching wrestling if he faces Luckily, the Jinder Sammy thing's off the table. I don't think we're going to see
Jinder
that.
has not even appeared on television since the championship match.
But next week for my list, well, not next week for my list, but when we do the list, he may make an appearance on that when it comes to someone to face somebody else. So we'll see.
You already spoiled my next name. I had Chad Gable if he lost on Monday, but you're saying he's going to win.
I think he's going to win. If he doesn't win, then yeah, he's going to.
But that story is nuts.
It's too good because it's more than the title now. They've built it up as this whole, and someone needs a little more of a reason to be Gunther, right? The Intercontinental title is a big reason, but if you have a little bit more extra into it, it kind of seeds some more doubt for him. So
let's just say, and this was going to be one of the topics, but we're short on time. But let's just say Chad Gable wins that match. How will they get Sammy to where you think he's going to end up for Mania?
I think they'll have the 4 guys for Logan Paul's title, and Triple H he wants to do some sort of ladder match for WrestleMania, make it as big as possible, right? So you need 6 usually for that match. You'll have KO, you'll have LA Knight, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and obviously Logan Paul. You need a 6th. Maybe they have some sort of battle royal, and Sammy finds a way to win it because they're not shy from pulling guys over from Raw or SmackDown to be able to compete. That's maybe how Sammy gets in the match. Sammy and KO can have a bro moment, but also fight, that kind of thing, too. So
KO needs backup, calls on Sammy, desperate to make the Mania card.
I don't think he has to call on. I think Sammy just has the opportunity there where they call him and say, hey, do you want to be in this Battle Royal to see who could be the 6th man in this match? They could also just go Logan and Randy and just fuck everybody else. But, I mean, I think they'll both find spots in there.
All right, my last name, John Cena. In or out?
In, but not for a match. He'll have a segment kind of like, I'm predicting like, some of the bigger stars like the Hogans, those kind of guys. He'll do something. If it is a match, it'll be like The Rock versus like Eric Rowan. Like 3-second match, whatever it is, 6-second match. But he'll show up. He's got 2 nights. You can probably usually find a break in that time frame, even on a movie set, to be able to get out for a couple hours and do it. So.
Does he rematch with Austin Theory? God. Because Austin Theory,
Grayson
win or
Waller
lose,
effect.
Austin Theory has to face that crowd on Monday.
That could be a way he gets in. Grayson Waller effect with special guest John Cena, that kind of thing. Something fun, creative, cool. He can talk up Grayson while also putting Theory under, maybe that kind of stuff again, and Theory could step up. There could be a short match. He'll be in, but again, it won't be anything of significant consequence to the card of WrestleMania. So,
all right, so I think Cena will be hosting. I consider throwing in CM Punk in terms of is he in as far as like hosting, having a role. I think he'll.
I told you Punk and Big E need to be on commentary, one each night. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, Punk is doing too much not to. After everything that happened on Monday, the fact that the ending chant after Drew McIntyre did his thing was for CM Punk. Yeah, you're right. That feud's going to be.
Dude, it's so good.
That's going to be great.
Actually, the host being Conor McGregor for WrestleMania.
Could be.
Why else did Matt Chandler call out Conor on SmackDown?
And again, remember, this is a TKO showcase.
So it is UFC included.
This is
Conor should be getting pretty healthy now and be back to almost where he needs to be. So
this is a TKO showcase. All right. This week in pro wrestling history, we go back to, I was going to pull up an NXT card from 2014, but then I remember, wait a minute, John Cena was in the news this week. Speaking of Cena,
Ricky Stenicki out on Thursday. Make sure you guys watch. Why am I promoting his show?
I don't know.
It looks funny. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably going to watch it.
But he shared with Chris Van Vliet on his podcast that he was getting ready to turn heel back in 2012. That was the year of Cena Rock 1, going into WrestleMania 28. He said that he had new music prepared, he had new gear ready to go, and he was going to pretty much say, the hustle, loyalty, and respect. He was going to go the complete opposite of that. He was going to show up to work less. He was essentially going to be lazy, do different things.
That kind of thing.
Cheat, go against every word that he stood for. And essentially at the last minute, nah. Yay or nay on Cena turning heel at any point during his WWE career once he won the championship back in
2005, right?
05.
Yeah, from JBL.
Because, again, he was heel early in his career, but once he won his first world championship.
Well, Dr. Thugonomics kind of slowly turned him from he started as a heel there, too, and eventually kind of turned into everyone just loved him.
Yeah. Everybody knows the history of John Cena. So, yay or nay, or John Cena midway through his career, or even during this feud with The Rock, turning heel?
I think if he was still in it deep like Hogan was later in his life, like around the same age, that'd be one thing. But at the same point, he made so much money for that company and the merchandising. And he said, I'm taking the hit. I'm not selling another T-shirt. We're taking everything off. I'm committing. I'm going to be a bad guy. I'm going to be, because he's old school. I'm going to be a heel. And I don't want no merchandise. I don't want no checks, no royalties, nothing. This is me. This is what I do. I think they made the right choice. At this point now, hindsight being 2020 or 2024 in this aspect, being able to look back and just kind of see his trajectory, he kind of needed those years of people going like, fuck Cena, and this is bullshit. Because now everyone appreciates him.
Well, Cena's, for those who are not a fan of wrestling back then, it's very complicated to talk about John Cena and his legacy. We know he's an all-timer.
Mm-hmm.
We know this. But to be in that moment and knowing that, first off, everyone wanted Rock back. And this is year one he came back for 27.
2011 is where he came back, and did the whole thing with Miz. And
everyone wanted this. And for years, men hated John Cena. They loved him as the man. They loved that he did the Make-A-Wish stuff. They
hated the character.
They hated the character.
Well, that's because every time he took his shirt off, all the women went crazy because the dude's obviously chiseled out of fucking stone and all that shit and everything, too.
Besides that, they hated the character because he was everything that represented Vince McMahon's WWE. Everything.
Yeah. He was practically saying your prayers, eating your vitamins, Hulk Hogan at that point.
Super much. Cena. The whole...
Never loses,
never really puts anyone over.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. And it wasn't really by it's not by his choice, supposedly, unless you listen to some of the mid-card wrestlers from back then.
He's going to have stroke. I mean, he's the world champion. He's the face of the company. Vince is going to listen to him if he says. Doesn't mean he's going to do everything he says. No, because at the end of the day, Vince ran the show.
I'm not dismissing what Alex Riley had to say, but with all due respect to Alex Riley...
Best thing about him was his theme song. That was it.
Yeah, with all due respect, Alex Riley is not going to make or break the history of WWE.
At one point, we thought he was going to be pretty big.
But
ouch.
Think about back then. Like, I thought SummerSlam 2010, when it was Cena's team versus NXT.
Everyone thought NXT should have won.
NXT should have won. Cena, by himself, won that match.
Yeah.
So, the hatred then, and if you weren't a fan then, remember Roman Reigns before Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. Remember Roman Reigns in between Shield and Tribal Chief. There's a 5-year gap of Roman Reigns' career I do not acknowledge existed. And I'm dead serious.
That's where he won a lot of his championships.
I am dead serious. Between...
all the main events against Brock and everything, too, that pretty much all came, besides a couple in there, yeah.
That character sucked.
It wasn't him. We all knew it.
It wasn't him.
No.
But he was the top guy. He was Vince's idea of what a top babyface should be.
Well, having that feud with Cena towards the end of that run was probably one of the things that flipped him a little bit. Obviously, unfortunately, the leukemia situation took him out of the game for a little bit, too. And there's been some, before and after of Roman from, 2020 to now, too, where he's starting to lose a little bit of weight and get a little bit skinnier in the face, and people are getting concerned. Maybe that's one of the reasons why he's not wrestling as much, too, is his body just can't take it anymore like it once could.
I would chill out on.
I don't know at all. I'm not trying to make any inferences, but I'm just saying what I've seen.
I've seen it too.
All over the internet and stuff like that, and just Googling
sorry, you can't
things,
grow gray hair in a couple years. Sorry.
I'm still some in the beard a little bit, but the head's still pretty much dark.
Shut up.
Well, you're also older than me, so.
By 2 or 3 years. It's
yeah,
not that old.
Well, when I'm 32, I'll come up and we'll see if I have gray hair.
You hear this guy, Jim?
What?
A couple of years from now.
I'm still in my 20s. I'm good. So this is actually
that don't mean nothing.
This is not a good sign for you guys. So my grandpa was in his 70s and still had all jet black hair, and he didn't even use any coloring. So I'm going to be probably in a pretty good spot for a while.
That's fine.
I mean,
the
beard might go first a little bit, but the hair itself is going to be.
I had somebody in college. I was working by a college job, and somebody was like, "Look at your hair." I'm like, what you mean look at my hair? It's the light is above me. It's like, no,
The first game we did for football, all the way back in like August, because I hadn't seen him in forever because I just moved back in May. But then I'm like, because I can see the top of your head because you're so tall. I could see it, and I was like, sprinkle some salt on top of your head? What's going on? I try to get it off a little bit, and you weren't a fan of that, and then two, yeah.
Well,
it stayed.
As I said before, I have the salt shaker, but I opened up the pour option, and it's.
I thought of a terrible joke. So, it's. I'm sorry, Mrs. Alford, but so it looks like your top of your head got itchy, and you just put baby powder on your head and just kind of.
You don't shower, do you?
LeBron does the thing where he does like the.
Yeah.
You just look like
he's just. Like what you do. And what's great about this podcast, what's great about this show, is thank you, Pete. These headphones cover all of it.
It does, yeah.
You don't see a thing.
You can't. As far as you know, you're a young, spry teenager right now.
I'm ready to go. Like, let's
great.
go. You don't see a thing.
So weekly check-in. We talked about this before the show too. Before I wrap up, how many pounds have you lost so far?
I've gained 2 pounds.
See, now this is part of me holding you accountable. I hate to put you on blast on the podcast and make it like public knowledge, but we set public goals for ourselves.
We did.
So, I'm down 4 pounds from the last time we talked. You're up 2.
Yep.
Now, we had 2 separate goals. My goal was to get to 250. Double A's was to get down 10 pounds, but we eventually settled on 30.
Yeah.
Because 10 pounds in 6 months is ridiculous. You can do that.
So, I get down to 190.
I've been 190 since I was in elementary school. So.
In high school, I was 140. There was a summer, we had a different football coach, and he had more of a weight-based, muscle-based summer program.
Yeah.
So I gained 5 pounds, and then once 2 days was done, I lost 5 pounds again. So I was consistently 140 pounds in high school.
Yeah.
And then I got to college, the freshman 15. For me, it was freshman 20. And then, but I was fine. And then once I owned my own vehicle, convenience set in.
Yeah.
And then broadcasting set in.
They weren't joking when we told us free food, all this stuff. We go places. We're working at WTAM.
You want to know what Triv told me once?
He was skinny at one point.
You want to know what
he
Triv
said that a bunch, yeah.
I know. You know what Triv told me? He's like, Anthony, you won't be successful in this business unless you're fat. And this was the same day.
Camino's in the corner like, hey, man, what the hell? Hey, it's come on. What the hell?
And it's the same day one of the sponsors brought in like a phenomenal set of food and everything in the studio. And Triv, God bless him, Triv used to not yell, but he used to force the young part-timers, you're going to come in here and eat this, right? Because you want, out of respect, we're not, part-time, you're not there every day, of course. So out of respect, make sure.
We were family, too, and he's Italian, so it was all like, hey,
yeah,
come on, everyone eat. Come on, everyone get over here. Get some food. Get another plate.
Triv was one of those guys that was offended if you did not go in there and grab 2 or 3 plates.
Or if you were a Yankee fan.
Or if you were a Yankee fan. Don't you know that, Kyle?
R.I.P., buddy. Me too. I still got shit for that, even after I got fired.
But he said...
You still a Yankee fan, Kyle? Yeah, Triv, sorry. It didn't go away. Didn't disappear. What the fuck are you doing rooting for the Yankees?
And then now think about some of the kings here of Cleveland media. Triv, Ken Carmen, I think we're in good shape. I think we're good. But that has nothing to do with my weight journey. And
I don't feel in good shape. That's the whole point of doing this. I'm trying to I want to feel. The important thing is to feel good.
Uh-huh.
So for me, I know that if I'm at 250 or lower, I usually feel pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I want to be. For you, it just depends, man. Obviously, 140, that's a huge goal to get all the way down to there.
I do not envision 140.
Well, you can go on this journey and eventually fall in love with it and fall in love with kind of routines that you get into, and you see the way it just kind of peel off. Okay, well, I'm not going to stop at 190. Maybe we want to keep going. It's all going to be up to you.
So Rebecca has been heavy on, well, she's not heavy, but
no, she's in shape.
She loves tennis. And it started with her father.
Does she play in college? Does she do anything?
No.
She just plays for fun.
But she plays for fun. When we tape this podcast, she's out on the ball machine, working.
Really?
Working. She's out there on the ball. She does tennis, I think 4 or 5 times a week now.
So I played at Toledo for a year.
Like,
dude, if you want to play tennis, we can do a thing.
I just got to start with the racket and stuff.
I have a spare racket. It's a doubles racket, so it's a bit wider,
Okay.
better sweet spots. You can hit the ball better. We'll get you going.
I just got to be able to, like, all right, let me run the court again.
If you want, does she watch this religiously?
She'll take a peek at this clip.
Hopefully she doesn't see it, but nevertheless, we could surprise her. I can train you if you want. Because I played collegiate tennis.
Oh.
I actually have an amateur record of 2-1, and I actually won a tournament too.
I like this.
So I can get you going, man.
I like this.
I've also been looking for someone to play tennis with, so this actually kind of works out pretty well for me too. If he sucks, I can just play with Rebecca, so it works out pretty well. Because I know she actually practices in this program.
She actually practice.
That's awesome.
She practice. Her brother is great.
Yeah.
Her brother.
Does he have flippy hair?
No.
Okay. Did he have flippy hair at some point?
I don't think so.
Okay,
not since I've known him.
Okay, good.
But her brother Chris won an entire tournament.
Yeah.
Qualified. I don't know if he's going to be able to go, but qualified to play in this national tournament in San Diego.
Nice.
The family's all in on tennis.
Okay.
So, and to Rebecca's credit, she has begged me for like the last 6 months. Like, you need to do this tennis. Tennis. And now that I'm, now that I'm not at the fan and have to wake up at 3 a.m. anymore.
You have more time in your day.
Yeah.
So my new job, I get off at about 3:30 as well. So honestly, man, once it gets warmer out too, I will gift you my racket so you have one to start with. It's just got restrung before I left Fargo because I was playing in a league out there indoors. So we can get you.
Can I ask you one more question before we wrap?
Yeah, sure.
What's the difference if you're fat or if you have a belly?
Yes.
What does it mean when your belly doesn't jiggle?
This is like a Mike Holico reference because he had a hard stomach.
Like, if you have a hard stomach, because I didn't realize, when you have a jiggling stomach, at least somebody can play with a jiggling stomach.
You just sit there at night and go, just play with your
stomach. But a hard stomach.
We're getting an insight into Double A's personal life we didn't need.
But a hard stomach, you can't move at all.
Do you have a hard stomach? Is that what you're saying?
There has to be a problem with that.
So if you have a gut, it's heavier, so less jiggle, right? You can still move it and jiggle it, but it's more mass. For me, I've never had a big gut. It's always been my legs. I got a fucking dump truck back there too that I'm trying to get rid of, that kind of thing. Just really make this show super inappropriate. Sorry again, Ms. Antler. I apologize for that. But nevertheless,
Jim's never volunteered to.
He's like, what
produce this show ever again.
I did this fucking podcast. They're talking about fucking dump trucks and transvestites on fucking TikTok and all this shit. What are we doing here? What's going on? But so I've never had a belly per se.
Yeah.
So mine will jiggle a little bit because it's just a little fat there. It's not toned. I've never really done a lot of core, which I'm trying to work on again too. But I've never had a big thing with it. But sometimes my weight distributes differently.
Yeah, my
chest,
always,
my legs, that kind of stuff.
When I was in shape, I even still had a little bit of a belt. The midsection has always been iffy.
It's tough for me because I actually get dizzy when I do sit-ups too, which is not good. So I have to do different types of core machines and stuff to try and work on it because I can't do physical sit-ups. But yeah, that's kind of the big. I don't think it's anything health related. Just that's where your weight is being centered because your arms look good, man. You have a good upper body too in your chest and all that. So I can tell it's usually. Here, lower body probably is where it fills in. You're kind of looking at yourself now and all that.
I'm looking at the camera shot. See, straight on, straight ahead doesn't look too bad.
No.
But now
we're critiquing ourselves.
If I do a side.
Do the walk. Start voguing. Come on.
Let me see. Let me move this mic up. If I do a side shot, here we go. This sweater actually makes me look good. If I had something tighter. So here. Hell. So there we go.
Can you do the booby bounce?
No.
You can't do that?
No, I can't do that. This doesn't move. Hold up. Doesn't move.
Jim is like, what the fuck am I doing here? It's 10:40 on a fucking Wednesday night. I'm watching Double A smack his stomach.
We gotta go, man. That's it.
You think?
But I'm just like, okay, that's good. That did the Hulk Hogan there, and then
You gotta slap the hands.
so anywho, I gained 2 pounds this week.
And I'm down 4. So I'm right at 300 now. That's kind of where I'm sitting at. I'm trying to get to 250. You're trying to get down to 190. Now you're at
222.
Okay.
So now it's a 32-pound.
Don't add to it. Just it's 30 pounds from what we talked about. 190 is the goal. It doesn't matter what you're at. That's where you need to be. So, and honestly, too, for a lot of people that start, like when I usually start the first week, I actually gained a few pounds first. Water, all that kind of stuff, building things up. I drank like a gallon a day, that kind of thing. It's hard to work through, but you'll get there, man. Like I said, I'm going to be here encouraging you every week. We're going to start playing tennis once it gets a little bit warmer out, too.
And I committed to this before or after I paid for bread, but after this loaf of bread is gone, I'm giving up bread.
But you probably don't have to. Just don't eat a lot of it. Like if you're going to have a sandwich, eat like a turkey sandwich.
Okay.
If you want to make it a little bit healthier, you can toast your bread, too. So
Next week, we'll have an update.
glad that was the thing that just broke the straw on the camel's back there. Me telling him to toast his bread. Anyway, proceed.
Next week, you'll bring back the top 5?
No.
Or
So we're going to do our Mount Rushmore.
that's right. We're doing a Mount Rushmore.
I'll save the Steve Austin top 5 for 2 weeks from now. Yeah.
So
Closer to WrestleMania.
Oh, in and out, Steve Austin. In a match at Mania. Oh, is that a teaser? Is that a tease?
Yes.
Okay. I'll respect that.
I'm gonna say inconclusive because I already answered all of your in and outs.
Gotcha.
So we'll think about that.
John Cena has The Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, and Roman Reigns in his top 4.
Yeah. Mine will be different.
I think mine will be different too.
Yes.
I think yours is the fan. I think is different. But we'll see.
Yeah. Comment on either the TikTok videos we post, anything on social media, YouTube as well, who your Mount Rushmore is for the
That'll be our question for this next week.
Yeah.
And then we'll comment. We'll do.
You'll send me the clip too, and we'll see what people say, and all that. We'll throw it all over the place and kind of see what people think. I'm curious because Cena obviously listed he listed women's too, and it was all he did 5, and he did all current WWE wrestlers.
That might happen. That might be my list.
We'll see.
That might be mine. It's just a matter of how high you value Trish compared to everybody else today.
Apparently not as high as we thought.
All right. Well, the stomach. Thank goodness the camera's above.
He's really
the
trying to
table.
get it in the shot again. You see what he's
Nah, man.
the seat decides it's going to go, buddy.
All right, let's go. Let's go before the side hustle of this becomes the main hustle. That's not even a real close, but I don't even care anymore.
It works. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
And scene.